podcast.
All right. Welcome back to the Outdoor Drive podcast. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and
This is Steve.
we have a good guest.
Mick Alfonso from Manchild Outdoors.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah.
How you liking the show?
I love it. I think it's great, you know.
Yeah.
I like being around people talking hunting because it's something I don't get a lot of. You know, I'm really like talk about work, talk about my wife's work, talk about the kids, and talk about hunting. Not at all.
We actually had a guest on not too long ago that had a safe card. So his wife, she didn't want to hear about hunting or fishing. She would put up the safe card and be like, no, not right now,
No
time
joke.
out.
Yeah.
And it happens. But let's get the drive underway, man. We'll turn this key and put this thing into overdrive. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Mick Alfonso. I'm from Manchild Outdoors, and I'm a respiratory therapist for my day job. That's what finances this whole thing, because it's a love, it's a hobby. It's not like a business or anything like that. I do it for people, but I don't want to like say, hey, you have to like pay for the service. It's like free. It's like sharing what I love and bringing the outdoors to people, because I honestly don't feel like enough people know about the outdoors, especially these generations. And I don't want to get off subject, but I caught a fish in a creek, and this kid walks by and he's like, dude, where'd you get that fish? It made no sense to him that it came out of that creek right there. And I'm like, this generation is just like needs some help. I need to enlighten them. So I used to hunt a lot with my cousins. I have 3 cousins that grew up with. They're like brothers since I was little. They all passed away. So social media has been like my outlet socially to talk to people. And I travel all over and I hunt all over, but everyone's spread out. So I have more, I'd say, friends that are more acquaintances than actual friends. Like if I need someone to help me to move a couch, I'm beat. There ain't nobody gonna, no one's close. But if I want to go hunt in another state and I'm like, bro, can I come out there and just sleep on your couch? I could probably do that.
Right.
So that's what I'm about. So sharing it. I travel all over because I've moved all over my whole life. So the deer over there at my booth, like I told you guys earlier, like for people they don't know if they haven't been by, like New York, Georgia, and Connecticut. I have one coming from the taxidermist from Kentucky. When I go to Ohio for opening season.
So you do a little bit of everything, traveling all over. It's not just, you're not a Northeast guy actually, I want to take it back real quick. What part of the area are you actually from?
Well, I am a Northeast guy at heart because I grew up in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, just, on the other side of the state. And I grew up, just like hunting stuff with my BB gun there.
Right.
And that was like a serious hobby when you're like 11 years old. I'm like, I am going to get that trophy squirrel. And when you bragged to your friends, and that's where it all started.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then like, oh, dude, I was just in the creek, and look what I got out the creek, like a bluegill that's like 2 pounds or something ridiculous. And so the outdoors started there for me. And so then it just kind of got like the weapons got bigger, the animals got bigger. And my dad was dragging me down to Salisbury, Connecticut all the time. And that's really where my roots are for hunting, is in Connecticut. And because Massachusetts didn't have a lot of deer. Down by the Connecticut border, there was a lot of deer in like Great Barrington and stuff, and I'm sure there still is, but not nearly as much as in Connecticut. So we always went there. And then we moved to Georgia. He got transferred with GE. So then I went from being in New England down to southern hunting now. And that's a whole different ball game. I don't know if you guys hunted down in Georgia or Alabama or anything like that.
I've hunted Louisiana, and that's as close as I got.
And I haven't been to Louisiana, so I don't know how they are down there. But in Georgia, it's funny. I explain to everybody, I'm like, all right, so New England is like kind of like real liberal, leftist kind of folks.
Right.
Mostly, there's a lot of us, but there's more of them. And so I go out there. I'm like, I deer hunt recently at my new job. I was talking about it. The doctor asked me, and they're like, you kill them beautiful creatures. I'm like, yeah, I love it,
They taste great.
And then she's giving me a really hard time about it. She's like, what do you do with them? I said, well, I like to hang their head on my wall, and I feed my family. And she was mortified. And then later she's like, giving me crap about it. I'm like, you're going to hold that against me, aren't you? And she's like, absolutely. But that's the only thing so far. She's like, but I'm going to hold it against you. But she was kind of joking, but she kind of wasn't. And in Georgia, it's the complete opposite. So in Georgia, if a guy walked up and they're like, do you deer hunt? And he's like, no. They're going to look at him and be like, boy, you like girls or something? You sissy? What's wrong with you? Like what is going on? Like, because everyone deer hunts down there. So the small 8-point on my barrel over there is like my biggest trophy, because that's a Georgia public land buck. And I hunted my butt off for that, and everybody knew about them, and everyone was in there like competing, and it was an archery kill too. So you're just like, you gotta work.
So I want to bring it back just a little bit. So first off, one of the things that kind of I really want to know is where did the name Manchild Outdoors come from?
Yeah, so Manchild Outdoors came from the movie Transformers. Which is,
You're definitely a man-child.
yeah, which is totally stupid. But I grew up with Transformers, playing with them. You know, I love Transformers. You know what I'm saying? So the movie come out, and Jessica Fox is just a smoking hot. So even if you don't like Transformers, if like you like deer hunting and you like girls, you like Megan Fox. So and she come out talking about like her dad was a man-child, and I forget how the scene goes, but the word just stuck in my head. And he's like wrenching on like choppers and like just was like locked up for getting in trouble and stuff. And I'm always getting in trouble. I'm not like getting locked up and stuff, but it was kind of like I seen parallels there. I'm
Right.
like, shit, maybe I'm a man-child. You know what I'm saying? And it stuck with me. And that's the only time I've really ever heard it used, but it's just one of the things that it locked on and didn't let go. So
And I think it's a name that it draws attention because everybody's probably in the same focus that I am. Like, where did this name come from?
How
Like,
did
why?
this
You
come
know what I'm
about?
saying? It's like,
right, yeah, and I get that a lot. So a lot of people think it's like derogatory. So I'm trying to like change the definition of it. It's not
Right.
like I'm not like just getting out of prison and I'm not being responsible and stuff like that. Obviously, I work in healthcare. I do respiratory. I'm on ventilators. I'm saving people's lives. Like I'm doing really responsible crap. So I'm responsible when I have to be responsible. But when I get out of work, I want the responsibility and the seriousness to stop.
And it's funny that
Yeah.
you say that because I think that there's a lot of people in the outdoors that's what they use it for. That's
Right.
what they, whether
Yeah.
it's a military thing or they have a stressful job, they're blue or whatever the case may be, and that's what
Right.
they use it for.
Absolutely. I just like sitting in the tree, and even when I don't see deer, and I want to see deer, and that's why I travel all over state, because I want to see deer. I don't want to sit there. Like I hear stories, like I hadn't seen a deer for 2 weeks, but then I seen that monster bucks. I don't like that kind of hunting because I want to see deer every day because I just like seeing the animals, But like, I mean, hell, I got stories about watching a turtle go by.
Right.
And it was insane. Like who would think, and otters, like a herd of otters, like
Oh, yeah.
a stampede of otters. It's just the funniest thing. Like I always laugh when they come by, especially in Kentucky. And it's like, oh, like you feel like they're gonna get you, but they're like this big,
They're
Those
too
are little
cute, man.
otters.
Well, I
Otters
mean, they're
are
like
too
that
cute.
big. Yeah, so
They can't hurt you.
I mean, no, I'm not really worried about them, but they come through and they're like they have a presence, like they're gonna do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like cute, so it's like they're gonna cuddle you to death or something. I don't know, but it's just weird to see you come through because I'd probably try to roll around on the ground with them and they'd bite me or something. Yeah. 'Cause
You
they're
are a
funny.
man-child.
Yeah, because they're funny, But that's what I like, or just like crazy stuff. Like one of my last hunts last year, I have a lot of hawks where I hunt, and I watched one finally snatch up a squirrel in front of me, and I really tried to get that on video, and I just missed it. And I was like, oh man, because they're always coming through, and I'm always getting them on the branches sitting right next to me. But as soon as they see me move, they're done.
I've had that happen with an owl one time. Same thing. You're in a
Snatched the
deer
squirrel?
stand. Oh yeah, dude. And you hear the other squirrels.
Oh yeah.
And you look over and there's an owl. He's like this, and he's got
Yeah.
one right underneath it. It was one of the probably coolest things I've seen in the woods. Honestly.
It's really cool, but it screws up my hunting tactic because I'm used to the squirrels barking at the
Yeah,
deer coming
exactly.
through, but they don't stop barking because there's so many hawks. So
Right.
from the moment I get in them woods to the moment I leave, there's hawks and they're constantly barking. So usually I can like dictate where the deer are moving by listening to the barking and the progression of how it's changing and where it's going. And in there, it's just constant because of the hawks. So I have no idea. So bucks sneak up on me and does even sneak up on me all the time in the reg in there because I'll be on my phone.
Yeah.
I got a lot of video. You'll
That's
see me
usually
like
what
this on the overhead I have a GoPro overhead. I'll be like this. You'll see me like, oh shit, put my phone in my pocket real quick and grab my bow. Especially when I see my target buck last year. I reached up and I hit it because I was like, I got my heart pumping. I reached up and hit it and it was like, whoosh, like swinging everywhere. I was like, that ain't good.
Okay, so pro tip from a non-pro: put a lanyard on your phone.
A lanyard?
Yeah. Now
Just let it dangle?
you're on it, just dangle.
I'd be afraid
Just
of
let it go.
banging into my tree stand and be like, boom, when I
Yeah,
wasn't
making too
expecting.
much
You
noise.
got to think that one through. Like I've got a
Yeah.
rubberized case and everything, and it's
Yeah.
a short lanyard.
Well, I
or
got that pocket
You could
in
use
that
that
chest.
retractable one you had.
Yeah, I either put it in my pocket right here in like the leg pocket. It's usually pretty easy, but I don't like using that because stuff falls out, and so I always have that pocket right in my chest now. All the
Yeah.
new jackets.
That's
I like
that's
that
me
pocket.
too.
'Cause you can get up there and sneak it in, and you're not outside trying to do anything, so you don't have that profile.
Right.
Because if you're here, then
Yeah.
you're just here.
Yeah,
Here
and
to
you're
here.
within your silhouette, so you're not really bumping around. They don't really see you moving. So yeah,
And you just brought up actually a very good point. Is that silhouetting? Like even setting up with the
Right.
sun and having so that your silhouette's not on the ground.
Right.
So then now you're not moving on the ground. 'Cause
yeah, your shadows will get them.
I've had that happen.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I find deer that way a lot. Like I kind of like I'm not really looking. I'm just kind of like zoned out, But as soon as that light breaks and that shadow changes,
Right.
you see that really quick, like a pixel changing on a TV or something. It just changes, and you don't know what it is. It could be smallest thing ever, like a chipmunk or something. But that light ain't coming no more. It turns off because that shadow's there, and you just zoom, and there it is, whatever it is that was moving.
Looking in those pockets of light.
Yeah, that's what I really watch. I watch the pockets of lights, and I look for horizon, or like what is it, like lines this way, horizon lines.
Yep.
So like deer, they always have that back to horizon. It's kind of unnatural in the environment. So you'll see that line.
That's
usually.
that prey drive in you.
That's what?
That prey drive in you.
It's that.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
the transformerness in you. No.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I'm like, Jesus, I need to turn on Netflix and watch this on board. Yeah, put the earbuds in. I thought about that because I recently discovered the AirPods.
Yep.
Because I'm like 47 years old, so technology is changing a lot for me, and I didn't really feel a need for them because you see
Right.
the millennials run around with them and they love them and stuff. So I got a pair just to get a pair, and I kind of like them a lot. And I was wondering, can a deer hear them? I don't know.
Maybe
I
not.
don't know. They're pretty low and they're in your ear, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't, they may put off a frequency or something. I don't know. Let's
Yeah, and
see
they
if
got
we
that
get, like,
transparency
University
where
of
you're
Georgia to test that. I'll go sit in a tree and watch deer, and you tell me if they react.
Yeah.
I just
Test it out. I know, like a lot of people would read books.
Yeah.
Read books.
And
in the tree. I mean, that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I'm usually on Facebook, hitting people up.
You're like,
Yeah.
you ever had a oh shit moment where you're like, oh, hold on. Oh, there's a deer coming, and then you don't even see it. It's already past
man.
where you had to go.
It's always my wife bitching at me.
Oh, really?
I'm not joking. She's texting me and she's bitching at me and she's like, "You're an asshole. You hunt too much. I hate you." And I'm sorry. So I don't know if I should say that. Yeah, I should filter my cuss words. Sorry,
You're
people.
Fine. You're fine.
Yeah. So she's like,
We are an explicit podcast, so.
Okay. Well, I don't know if there's kids
But
around.
yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
definitely kids around.
My kids are the worst. They're corrupt, but like other people's kids might be nice, and I don't want to like ruin society single-handedly or nothing. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I'll be getting yelled at, and then like every time I've shot a big buck in the last 3 years, she's been yelling at me on a text.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Every
kinda-
single time.
So does that mean before you go out, you intentionally try to make her mad?
No, she just gets mad really easy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
I
could
mean,
be
she's a
great
good
tactic.
woman. I ain't talking too much smack about her because if she ever watches this, she's gonna kill me. She's a great wife. And it's just like, I hunt a lot, and it's a lot for her to deal with. She didn't know what hunting was when I got with her.
Oh, okay.
So she knew guys that hunted,
She's a hunting widow.
but they didn't shoot stuff. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like they were hunting, and I don't know what they're doing, but a lot of guys now they go hunting just to get out and do whatever,
Right.
and they just enjoy being out. So they weren't productive hunters. They definitely didn't hunt different states and travel all over and all this stuff. And so she's like, the second day we lived together, we just moved in October 1st. So October 1st I went hunting. Somebody came in and just messed up my hunt. And then the second day I come home with the New York buck with no brow tines over there, and she's like, I'm like, wake up, come see my buck. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, no, come see my deer. You actually shot one? I'm like, well, that's kind of the whole point of going.
Yeah.
And like, she's like, yeah, but I know a lot of people hunt. They don't come home with nothing. I'm like, well, I don't know.
I guess I'm above average.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know
Right.
what they're doing out there. Maybe they're really not going hunting. I don't know. So, but yeah, and that was her enlightening moment. And then since then, it's just, there's always a deer coming in because I shoot a lot of does to feed the kids. And they're just constantly coming through.
So when you had first met her, she was not into the outdoors.
No, she's still not into the outdoors.
I was going to ask, that was my next
Yeah.
question. Did she slowly turn into that?
No, I don't
Or
want her
it's just
to.
Kind of,
Oh, I don't want her to.
Okay.
No,
Some
please
people
don't.
Are,
No.
it's a
No, I like
draw
she
sometimes.
does her thing and I do my thing. She just does like jujitsu and stuff with our son, and she likes that stuff. And that's cool. She's real feminine. She's real girly. She's a nurse. Like she wants to help people. She doesn't want to see my videos. Like she doesn't
No,
want
not
to see the
even a
animal
little bit.
die. She's will
Okay.
eat them all day long. She'll cook them. She loves eating it. She loves cooking it. But she will not watch. She doesn't. She's like, Michael, I don't want to watch you kill it. It's gonna make me not want to eat it. And she hates the deer heads in the house because they're watching her.
Oh.
While
Yep.
she's
Gotcha.
eating them,
We
and she
hear about
feels
that.
like Hannibal Lecter. So she doesn't like that. But I'm like, no, it's cool. It's like really healthy. You just gotta get over that. And she has. And the kids are like, I don't know. They're just like, that's all they eat is venison. It's like they're almost
That's all
a
they
deer.
know.
Yeah, and they don't like, my son will be like, I want steak. And we'll take him to Outback one time because we were in town. And he's like, oh, no, not that kind of steak. I want
Venison
the other
steak.
kind of steak. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he doesn't know. He's talking about venison. He didn't like it. And I don't either. I don't like eating beef much anymore.
Well, it's a lot leaner, better for you, and it's
Just the taste is better, yeah. And my stomach as I get older is just finicky.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't want it either. The only time I've ate like beef that's good is like Paris, where they actually farm raised. It's almost venison-y because it's actually healthy. It's probably not got a shitload of steroids in it and growth hormones and everything that they do, like here in the state sides or wherever states get their meat at. So they were really promoting that it was healthy and it was delicious.
That's
But
awesome.
Stateside, though.
I want to take it back to Manchild Outdoors, man. Where did it start for you that you one day just was like, did you just wake up one day and was like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and start hunting and recording the things that I go through in my daily? Or
Well, it's been like a long road for me. Not like for Manchild, it was really just started recently within the 2 years. But I've been recording since the days of VHS and the big, bulky,
Yeah, the over the shoulder.
Yeah, the over-the-shoulder cameras where you had to have a cameraman. You weren't self-filming, and I don't even. Maybe they had camera arms back then, but I don't think they did.
Nah.
I don't
think so. But well, yeah, I was in the tree with my cousin, and I'd record him or he'd record me, and we did that a lot. But we weren't editing. We weren't doing all the stuff that's like so available to us nowadays. It's so easy to like get into and just like and start learning how to like cut it down and make it actually look watchable. So it's shaky, it's grainy, and you have to fast forward to the kill shot or like. And he didn't do like this is what I'm doing at the truck, and he didn't have B-roll. It was just like glory moments. And remember that time we shot that deer? Yeah, here it is. And you got the arrow flies, and then that's pretty much the extent of the video. And I've even like done a seminar, like I was telling you guys before, with Bill Jordan one time, telling him like, this is what I'm doing. These are my obstacles. These are the things I'm trying to overcome. And he's like, oh, that's cool. You should go up on stage and do a seminar with me. And I was like, what? Because then I was young.
Yeah.
I was young then. So, and I was like, okay, but I've always been one of them people that I don't care if people are like watching me or staring at me or nothing. So I was like, okay, so we did that, and that was a good time. But even with that, it never got serious, and it just kind of faded out. Then I'm hunting at Whitetail Heaven in Kentucky, and I'm talking to the folks there, like Cohen Stone, the producer of executive producer of Bone Collector, Hannah Barron, and Jeff Barron, and all them, and they're like, you really should do like something like a video, like and stuff, because that's what they do.
Right.
So that's on the forefront of their mind, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not you or nothing. You guys are like celebrities. I'm like nothing, and whatever. But then I was like, I'll do it for fun. So then I did it for me to kind of save the memories. Fiddling with it like the year before last, and then I shot that Drop Tine.
Yep.
And I was like, I really wish I would have had that filmed, if for no one else, for me.
Did you film that hunt or no?
No, I had camera gear in my bag, and I got in late, and I didn't set it up because I didn't want to spook none, because I pushed 2 deer out going in.
Start from the beginning. I want to hear the whole story of this.
The whole
Velvet
story
Buck,
of the
because
Velvet-
I
yeah.
think it's kind of really cool, honestly.
The Velvet Buck's a long story. It's in depth because I went to Kentucky for Velvet like that year, and was it the year before too? No, that was the first year I went to Kentucky for Velvet, so I had to think because I had processed the timeline. And so I'm in Kentucky for Velvet, and I travel all down there. I'm like all in. I'm like balls deep on this trip. I got no time to do nothing else. So I wasn't scouting Connecticut or nothing. I wasn't even thinking about it. I hunted it the year before, just knocking on doors, which is a whole complete other crazy, awesome story. It's funny as hell. But I'm like in Kentucky, and here comes this buck. He's at 18 yards, 1/4-2. I'm shooting great, but I got this VXR. And the VXR is shooting crazy, and I am going to blame the bow a little bit because I was shooting awesome. But it did this left to right shift with the point of impact, and I could never figure it out. Work on my own bow, and something was moving. I don't know if the limbs were moving in the limb pockets or if the cams were shifting or something was loose. I could never figure it out on that bow. And I would have like great groups that shot awesome. But like 1 minute my point of impact would be here, and then it would be 2 inches to the left or the right, and then it'd go back over, and then it'd go back over. But it was moving 2 to 3 inches back and forth. And it was like happening all the time. So today if I shoot it, I readjust my sight, it's dead on. And it'd be dead nuts the whole time I shoot it. I could hit a 1/4 with it at 20 yards. And then the next day I'd pick it up and go out and shoot. And it moved to the left or the right again, and whatever, 3 inches. So I'm like, God dang, I couldn't figure it out. So the day before I went in the woods, I make sure this is on. And I sighted it in and everything. I went out in the woods. There's that 10 point. It's not like a 135 10 point. It's not humongous, but it's a nice deer to me. I feel blessed to a deer with that, like that. And I shoot, and it moved over again, It hit the leg bone, so instead of tucking it right in that hard 1/4-2 shot that you probably should never take, that they tell you is like the worst angle ever, and I should have just waited.
What if you're confident in it, man, and that's what
I was totally confident in it, but I could have been patient. So it's like a lesson learned. Experience is everything. Like even in healthcare, I'd rather have a doctor with experience than a doctor with a PE.
That's why they call it a
PhD
practice.
No. Yeah, that's why they're practicing, because they don't know. So, but yeah, experience is everything. Seeing things and learning from living life and doing things is like the best teacher ever. And failure, like even Yoda says, failure is the best teacher.
Absolutely. No, it's the truth.
So
man.
it's really true. So I believe in them words. And it hit him in the leg. It ricocheted underneath him, and I didn't get him. So I'm devastated. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn it, my hunt's over. I just wounded an animal on top of it. And so I'm just devastated. I go home basically crying in my milk. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to get over this hump. My freezer's empty. I'm going to go get some venison. I'm going to shoot a doe at my doe spot over in Connecticut. And lo and behold, there he is. Like, first deer that come in was that buck. I pushed 2 out going in. It was cracking light. And I'm like, I won't put my camera arm out. And I had the muddy camera arm back then, and I don't want to talk bad about nobody, but personally, I don't like that camera arm because it's so big.
Think
It doesn't
that's
work
the
for
general
you.
consensus.
It doesn't work for me, and it's not like my thing. Somebody else would probably work perfect for, but I didn't want to set it up because I didn't like messing with it. It was just one of them camera arms that I didn't have for long. And and it's loud, and it clanks, and there's ratchet straps and stuff, and I'm like, no, it's too late for me to set that up. So, and I didn't. And now I do a GoPro over my head as like a secondary camera just in case I don't have a main camera. But then it was new to me. I wasn't doing that. So I had no footage. And he was out at like 60 yards. He come in and they eat the dirt in a spot that's across the line. Like 60 yards over, there's a small piece of land that cuts in between me and this other land. There's minerals or something in that dirt. They come in and they eat that dirt. And he's over there eating the dirt for probably 45 minutes. And all I really could see of him is a silhouette and do all the stuff in that abnormal side. And I thought he was small. I thought he was like a 6-point or something. And he didn't, because his body was really big. That was a 300-pound deer live weight. I just like predict. Like,
right.
He was huge. Like totally, after bringing him to taxidermy and taking the head and the hide and then they got field dressed and the legs off and everything at a USDA meat processing place on the meat hook, getting rolled in there to be like just put in the cooler for a while. He was 193 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Still, yeah, because they charge you by the pound there.
Right.
So that's how he got weighed. So the gut pile was humongous and everything was just a big deer, but not getting too far ahead going back. So he's out there, and I don't realize, and this kind of takes me back to, I remember watching Monster Bucks videos as a kid, and people saying, oh, we got to be careful when you're hunting like Canada because the bodies are so big, you'll think the racks are smaller. They're like, because their silhouette's going to be huge and their racks are going to be small compared to their silhouette. So it'll look unproportional. It'll look like a smaller deer. That's what happened in that situation. I didn't think he was big. So I wasn't super pumped. I was just like, oh, here's a little buck. That's cool. You know what I'm saying?
It's in velvet. You're trying to shoot
And
the
I'm
velvet.
just like, yeah, but I didn't know he was really in velvet because he was so far off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't really realize it until he got close. So he wandered off and he left. And he was gone for an hour and a half. And he came back. But when he came back, he came on the trail that circled right in front of me, which the trail I was hunting. He came in, and when I first seen him, he was like 40, and before he knew it, boom, he was 30 yards in front of me. And he's coming right at me. So he's 17 inches from ear tip to ear tip, and his rack is well outside that. And he was really tall, and I was just like, whoa, this is a really big freaking deer. And the drop tine, I didn't know it was a drop tine. I thought it was his velvet, because that's when I knew he was in velvet. I'm like, oh, I'm smoking this deer. He's in velvet, And he came in, he was at 20 yards, and the closer he came, I stopped looking at the rack. Like I wasn't, he was a target now, he wasn't, I don't need to look at his rack no more.
Now it's business.
So, yeah, I'm not that guy that's going to sit there and stare at the rack because I've had family shoot arrows between like tines before because they say you go like a mountain bike or something like that. Look where you want to go. That's where you're going to go, and that's where they were looking apparently.
You hear
that's
more stories than none about that actually.
Yeah,
you really
so
do.
I'm like, I'm not looking at his rack. I don't care no more. He's a shooter for me, so I'm focusing on the vitals. That's where I'm looking at. I need the angle. So I get that shot and I get that angle, and he takes off running about 60, 70 yards over a berm where I can't see. He hits a tree, and it sounded like a tree fell in the woods, a big one. He's like, bam! It was loud. And I think the tree smoked him on top of my shot because he was like, boom, and it was just one dead silent. And he was over the ridge, too. So you know how it is. You know, but you don't know.
Yeah,
so I'm like, he's down,
in your
but you
mind.
don't know. So there's that little devil standing right here like, he might not be. He might not be. You might have messed it all up. And like, so I'm like, yeah, he's down. So I'm feeling confident. So that happened so quick. Like, it was done. Like, just like that. He came in, I could process it, shooter, shot him, and then he was gone, and then it was over. So I'm sitting there. And then, like, within, like, a couple of minutes while I'm trying to process this, here comes the doe. And I went in there for does. So I'm like, shit, yeah, here comes a doe. So I stopped thinking about him. And a lot of people, they probably wouldn't have done that.
It was business.
Yeah, and so I'm like, my freezer's running empty. I need another one. So here comes this doe, and she came in, and she was real skittish because of the shot and everything. And she finally worked in, and she stand basically right where he was, but she came from where he went. Okay. So he went down over a berm, like in one direction, and she came from that direction. So I think he kind of pushed her up the hill. So she come up on the same trail, and she was standing almost exactly where he was standing. And I threw another arrow right there. They landed. They're both were pass-throughs, and the arrows are in the ground like right next. Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. The buck wasn't a pass-through, but the doe was a pass-through. The arrow was right there where his was, or was his a pass-through? I honestly can't remember.
Same thing.
Either way.
Whatever. Same spot. Well, anyway, she heart shot and she went over and she died. I could see her go down. So I was so super pumped about that doe, right? So getting out of the tree, I know she's down. I see her, so I go over and look over the berm, and then there he is, smashed up against the tree. So trying to pull him off of the tree was like work in itself. So then I'm trying to like getting pictures and stuff with him. And if you watch the video, I do have a video not of shooting him, but of the harvest. So I did pull a GoPro out. I had that in my bag. And I pulled the GoPro out, and I got the recovery on film. So I walk up to him, and he's just big. And I seen him first. I went over to the deer first, and then went back to my bag and got my thing. So the initial shock of like losing my shit when I see this deer growing, because as I got closer, I was like, oh my freaking God. Like that deer just got bigger. There was no ground shrinkage. He just got bigger. I'm like, he's got freckles, which is weird.
Which is cool. That's one of the cool things about that is those freckles. Those freckles are really cool. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Like I've seen like piebalds, but they're more like cows. Right. The spots are big, and I've seen like the dots that go down the row of the back.
Yeah. That never go away. Yep.
Yeah, because I shot one like that in Kentucky, and Hanna-Barbera shot one like that I seen personally, where it just goes down their back, almost like a fawn. Before they lose their spots, them are like the last ones they lose, I think. And these ones just didn't. They're still there. It's really weird. But yeah, and then the fact that he has a summer coat still. So that was one of my things is when I went down by Danbury, and I'm so sorry for the taxidermist, I forget his name, because he did a great job on the deer. And he still had the summer coat, all them long red hairs on the top of the head and then the neck and then the chest. And I'm like, is that going to fall out? And they didn't. So that's really cool that you can still, this much time later, and just check that out. And the velvet looks good. The velvet looked better than when he was alive. It wasn't tipped. Like now he's tipped like he was going to shed it.
Yeah.
That happened during the drying process when it shrank a little bit.
Yeah, it just shrinks, yep.
Yeah, and that's just velvet for you. I mean, some people, I'm curious how my velvet buck, the 8-point I shot last year in Kentucky, is going to come out, because that guy down there, he does like probably 100 to 200 velvet bucks a year.
And I think that's on the process of how it's done. So
Right.
like if you freeze dry it, or there's a velvet tan that they do, and sometimes you get shrinkage on it. So it's and a lot of times when you shoot them, a lot of the taxidermists will tell you like you can bring that velvet tan with you and start the process right off, or you can put it right in the freezer.
Well, they start it right away because
and that's one thing. If you're velvet hunting, that you definitely want to contact your taxidermist that you're going to bring it to before.
Yeah.
See
well, the
what
great
he wants
thing
you
is
to do.
the taxidermist there is a guide on site.
Oh, really?
At the same time.
Even better.
Oh, so then it's
so
he
he's
knows what's
guiding,
up.
and then when the hunt's over, he's picking up all these deer and he's bringing them home, and he's got his crew start getting on them right away.
Those taxidermists, man, they skeeve into everything.
Like he's a great
do that
guy
in bear
though.
camp too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Ben Bauer is his name. Just throw him a little shout out at Wake Tail Heaven. He's a good guy too. He's a really good dude, and he's just there and he talks you through the process. Like I'm actually going to Kentucky, going to Ohio, but I'm still with Wake Tail Heaven. I'm like 2 hours north, and he'll work something out where I can pick up my deer while I'm there, so I ain't gotta worry about shipping or like any crazy driving or anything. So it's super convenient if you're like going back often. Like he's just got it, and you pick it up when you go back. Yeah, so that's gonna be pretty cool when I get that deer, because that's why I did the whole barrel, so I could do it in the house. My wife's like, we don't need another deer head in the house, Michael. She makes me put them in the garage.
So you just put them all together instead.
They're on that tripod like thing. Well, I don't know what they call it from Full Range.
Oh, yep.
The Full Range mounting systems, and it's that pedestal mount with the 3 different hooks on it.
Yep.
So I have it foresight to think if I shoot in another one, there's one more. So
there's a fourth slot on it.
There's a third one, and I only have 2 velvet deer. So you won't let me have the velvet deer in the house because I'm like, I can't leave it outside, hun. The humidity will ruin it.
Nice.
So yeah, so she's like,
well played.
You should say that about the tan too, so that it doesn't, so you can bring that thing inside also.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They're gonna get ruined. They're gonna crack. They're gonna lose their color. We can't do that. Spending $700-800.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that again. And I mean, I could always send it back and have them do something, but that's the thing is I can't fix that Drop Tine buck because of the freckles.
Right.
He has to stay inside. So I'm like, babe, the kids will go out before it's just go out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's like you asked me about having them outside. Like I'm not like here. Like I kind of hate that they're outside, but I kind of feel like you ever hear like when you're a kid, and like I go back to being a man child again. Here I am a kid, dude. If we're like on a desert island. And you could bang like Cindy Crawford or like this other like really hottie, like which one would you bang? Like who cares if there's nobody to brag about it? You know what I'm saying? Like if I can't tell nobody, like here I am, I'm nailing this chick, she's hot. Like who cares? It could be some like slob as long as she's nice to me and she could cook. You know, I don't care no more.
You're on an island by yourself. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't really matter. So like if I didn't bring them out here to be able to share them to people, and they're just hiding in my house somewhere, it's like there's a really good buck out in them woods somewhere, just hiding away that no one gets to see. And I don't want to create that with a buck I shot. Like if I shot that big monster, I'd want to bring it somewhere like here, like a lot of guys have done, and show that thing to people and get them motivated and whatever. Because if I had dropped dead of a heart attack tomorrow, my wife's gonna throw that thing in the dumpster so quick. No one's gonna see it. It's
She's not even to give it away. It's just going right
what
in the
happened
trash.
with that drop tine? I don't know. Like it disappeared.
It disappeared.
Yeah. So I had some.
That's
mounts.
like one of the guys here. He found like a 160-inch deer in the trash from like 1949 or
Yeah,
something.
we were talking about that with the old taxidermy the other day.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just imagine, it happens all the time. Because, like, I've pissed my wife off now, and the first thing that came out of that house was my deer heads. I was like, do not ever touch my deer heads again. That is a deal breaker. Like, I will totally take them to a storage area and with the rest of my stuff and find someone. Like, don't do it. Like, so, yeah. So
Don't touch my
she stopped
deer,
doing
don't touch my wife.
But she's like 13 years younger than me, so she's like piss and vinegar. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got to be careful because she's hot when she's mad. Like, she's really sexy.
She Italian?
I don't know.
Sometimes
Maybe
the
a little.
Italians get like that.
Yeah,
you know?
she's got. Yeah, but no, I don't think so. I think she's just kind of like American
just
mutt. You know what I'm saying? She's got a little bit of everything in her.
She just gets fired up.
Yeah, and she's
You
just
got to be
that
careful.
attitude. I had to stop because in the beginning I was making her mad all the time just because she got really sexy and like she does this thing with her eyes and I'm just like ooh, and I can't get her to do like angry sex like I try to, and, you know, and like see now we're totally off subject, but
yeah,
and I try to but she won't because she's mad at me, so it doesn't work for me, so I had to stop. I'm like she's just gonna stab me in the back or something when I'm asleep, kill me or slowly push me downstairs or something, I don't know.
Maybe you should stay in the woods a little bit longer.
No, because I
Spend
think
more time there.
Yeah, I gotta make time for her. She's like that kind of person that likes the affection. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta make like a movie night during hunting season. And that's the hardest thing for me to do.
And that's a balance. That's a balance thing that a lot of people have a tough time with, or they know how to cope with that thing, and that's an important thing that all of us have to deal with.
Well, it really just matters on like, am I seeing that big buck or not right now? Because I work on the thing like he's in the area for 3 days.
Right.
And if I see him on Thursday and we got movie night on Friday, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
As I don't have that. I'm like,
nights.
sorry, babe. Like, he just came in the area. He's only going to be in the area for a little while. I got to get him before he rotates out. And then she doesn't understand that.
Right.
But then I come home with the deer, and it might work out for me, and she's not happy for me. So, but back to social media and Manchild Outdoors. Hey guys, look what I got! Because
everybody loves
I need
it.
somebody happy for me, so I could like think about not getting murdered in my sleep tonight. Yeah. But yeah, Manchild Outdoors is one of the things I tried like in the beginning, like you said in the very beginning, to take us back to the beginning of this whole podcast. Like Manchild Outdoors is like, I'm trying to redefine Manchild. Like I want it to be like, dude, you're a man first. Like let's not take away, because I feel like people skip over man and go right to child when they say, oh, you're a man-child, and it's derogatory in nature, and like they're not saying it to be nice. But I feel like it can be like a nice term too, because how many guys do you know where they get bigger and like instead of like BMX bikes sitting out in the yard at like somebody's mom's house, and now it's like Harleys at buddy's house over here, you know what I'm saying? Like the game doesn't really change, it's just the toys do.
Right.
You know, like you get bigger toys, you get faster cars instead of go-peds or like big wheels or whatever. Because I know we were like 5 or 6 deep on the biggest hill in the neighborhood with big wheels we stole from little kids, and we were like hauling ass down this hill racing each other, you know? Then later we get like go-karts or cars or four-wheelers and we're racing each other, and then next thing you know we're at like the dirt track with something, and it just doesn't change. But you get a job, you get responsibility, you do your responsibilities, and that's the first thing. Like the man in you has to be the man. Don't be this piece of crap that ain't doing nothing for nobody but themselves. Like have responsibility, do you. But now when you leave that responsibility, be a child at heart. Go out and have fun. Roll around in the grass with your kids. Don't be that guy like, oh, well, I'm responsible and I can't play with my kid like a kid. No, man, like get on the ground and like burn ants with them with a magnifying glass or whatever it is that you do and have fun with them. And then I'll take them out hunting and you do your hunting thing too and just be that child, because I think if you're not young at heart, you just kind of get mean. You know, you gotta be happy.
Well, since we're on the subject, man, one of the last questions I got for you is what drives you outdoors?
What does what now?
What drives you outdoors?
What do you mean? What drives me? What
Not
exactly?
your car, not your truck. What drives
Like just
you?
to go to
what,
the
what
outdoors?
inside of you, that burning ember that makes you want to push forward and drive to be in the outdoors?
Oh man, I love nature. You know what I'm saying? I love God and like the creation that He painted. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you just get out there, and I know like nowadays a lot of people are shifting towards being like religious or believing in God or spiritual or whatever. People are trying to be like factual and scientific and all that, and I don't see it that way. I look at it like there's something bigger than me, and I have no idea what it is, and I don't want to know what it is. I'm good with not knowing and having just faith and going out and just looking at the beauty that's around me, because I don't think there's nothing better than getting out and just like being at the side of the road or a field or whatever, and there's like the mist is coming up and being in the tree and having the sunset, you know, come up. And I always say, like, you know, hunting isn't necessarily hunting. Sometimes it's being 20 feet closer to God.
Yep.
You know, get up in the tree, and I'm like that much closer to my cousins that passed, and I'm that much more with them. And you know, I talk to myself all the time like a crazy person, just like having conversations still with like my loved ones that have passed and stuff. And being in that tree, there's nothing more spiritual and more comforting and like relaxing and de-stressful, because they're not with me anymore, but they are. You know what I'm saying? And even if there isn't anything, they're still with me, and there's no denying that. So even if everything I believe in is not true, it doesn't matter, because they're still with me and I'm there, and I have that moment where I'm kind of doing my thing and just like remembering and being with them still. So that's the main thing. You know, deer are secondary. You know, success is secondary. I really just, I like to feed the family healthy. So, you know, while I'm there, I can do something productive and something that's good for somebody other than just myself. And then if I can get on that target buck too, and I can kill that target buck, well, that's cool, because my friends will like me more. Because if I shoot a bunch of does, my family eats, and my friends are like, yeah, he shoots a lot of deer, but he doesn't ever shoot a buck.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
man.
but you shoot a big buck, next thing you know, the guys are like, you don't shoot. That's I think it's so funny, because now it's like guys do a lot of things for other guys now. Like we make fun of women, how they do a lot of things for other women. Like they don't wear that sexy dress for themselves. They're wearing it because I'm going to look better than her. You know, or I want to do this. And I watch the guys at the hunting camp, and they're like, dude, I got like Seek on, or I got like this on, and they're dressing for each other, doing the same thing, and I just sit back and laugh with my Walmart clothes. Yeah, I'm back there with
It's
my...
so true, though.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that. It's honestly, that's very true.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, and you know, and a lot of people, they do the right things, you know what I'm saying, but then they get like, well, I bought this new bow, like when Matthews came out with the First Light, and nobody had First Light camo yet. You couldn't buy it. So everyone's like rushing, like, what am I gonna do? I got this bow with First Light, but I need First Light gear because I don't match. And I'm like, dude, are you freaking serious right now? Because you sound like a girl.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, come on.
Right.
Yeah, so I just laugh, and that's the Manchild in me too, because I think it's funny. I sit back and I'm like, that's cool. Like, I mean, the camo's cool. You know what I'm saying? You want to wear the camo, I get that. But your reasoning behind it's kind of silly. Like, I don't want to go there and be mismatched. You know, a lot of guys still like, they'll have like mossy oak pants and then like real tree top.
See, for me, like I would rather see a person or a kid or whatever wear mismatched camo shooting does than I would somebody in Sicko or First Light shooting monster bucks. I mean, to me, I think it's...
Seeing a kid be successful is great, because it doesn't matter what they shoot. And that's where I try to stay too. I try to be like, I think each deer is a blessing from God. Like I really do. You're taking a life, and you need to be productive with that life. Like you need to like eat it, and you need to respect it and stuff. And there's a lot of people that I've seen shoot monster bucks and talk about it like it was a piece of crap deer. And I'm like, you're out of your mind, because it wasn't exactly what they want. Or oh, I shot my target buck, but it broke a G2 off, and now it won't score as much. This sucks. I heard a story about a woman flipping out because her kid shot like, I don't know, his deer scored like an inch under Boone and Crockett, and they flipped out because they thought that he shot a Boone and Crockett deer, and they were like being mean to the people that scored them and everything else, because now that deer had no value unless it was a Booner. Like, and I was mortified by it.
They're doing it for the wrong reason.
Right, they're totally, that's totally not cool. You know, hunting camps, you know, how many times have guys probably told stories about, yeah, just cut the rack off and you can do whatever you want to with the rest of it. I'm going to take the rack. You know, and that's the wrong reason in my mind. Yeah.
So when we do a lot of travel hunting, because, you know, a lot of public, and we stay in our trucks and so on and so forth, is like, I had shot a deer in Ohio, and I donated it to the local food pantry.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I got it cut up and then gave it to, actually, it was not even food pantry. It was a church.
It was a local church.
It was a local
Right.
church.
Yeah.
And because you want the best to happen to that. And
Right.
I mean, for me to travel home with it was a lot, but to give it back to somebody, and
Right. Yeah.
I think like Northeast, one of my big gripes about the Northeast is that we don't have anything like that. There's not a lot of foods for
the
hungry.
Hunters for the
There's
Hungry,
not hunters
food
for the hungry.
pantries.
There's not that kind of stuff to donate that stuff to, because like
Right.
you know, shoot a lot of does, and I shoot a lot of does, and do I really need all that? I mean,
Right.
we use it, we make fun stuff with it, but I would like to see it go to
Me
you
too.
know,
Yeah.
somebody in need, man.
Well, they do that in Southern Connecticut in like zones 11 and 12. They have like that earn a buck tag. So they have so many deer and you can keep shooting them. They keep giving you tags because the population's out of control.
Right.
But they want you to shoot does first. And so the guys are shooting the does to get the buck tag because they want the buck tag, but they're giving the does to the people that'll donate it to
The
the food
butchers
things.
or
Yeah, the
whatever,
butchers
yeah.
that do the
So
program
there
or whatever.
is programs?
Yeah, they have the program, so then they distribute the meat amongst the people that need it. And I think that's awesome because not only are you doing your part in population control and keeping, the buck to doe ratio good, but you're helping out the people that really need it. And
That's
I think that's
important.
cool, you know what I'm saying? And then they can get it and whatever. I would like to see that in a lot of states when they have like they're trying to do like antler restrictions and stuff like that. I wish they did a earn a buck tag instead. And then they would do programs like that and have people, donate the food to the needy and stuff. But I don't know. I guess there might be a lot more involved in that than I understand.
Absolutely. So, quick question for you is, as you've been coming up through this and getting into it, learning not just the video, but the hunt in general,
Yeah.
what's your biggest takeaway and one thing you would want to point out to a new hunter?
Going forward, I just want to, my biggest takeaway is last year was my learning curve with my video stuff. So I'm just trying to make the best possible footage I can. Not just kill shots and just success videos, but just watchable, entertainable, tell the story better, and just entertain folks and really help and try to like educate those that are new into hunting. Because one of the things about Huntstock that I take away from this event is I heard so many people at that archery range when the guy says, "You ever do a 3D shoot before?" So many people said no.
Right.
There's so many people said no, I've never done one, and that's just like baffles me. I'm like, wow, because I mean, we had the R100 in 2 weeks just right down the road, which is the most phenomenal shoot, I think, and all the targets that they bring in, and they've never done one. I'm like, that's incredible. So there's so many new hunters, so I want to make the best watchable footage, but I also want to start telling the story better and being more educational, and like when I was new, coming up watching Monster Bucks videos and stuff and trying to get takeaways from that.
Right.
Like, I need to know how to do a mock scrape. I don't know how to do one. Like now we take it for granted. We probably do 100 of them in one season or something ridiculous and don't think nothing of it. But these kids don't know nothing about mock scrapes. The guy I hunt with on public land, well, I don't hunt with him, but he hunts by me. And like I bring like 4 big deer off the mountain with mock scrapes and kind of like taking out a bunch of does so they could zigzag and not get locked up on a doe. And he shot a great buck this year, and I doubt at all he thinks I was any bit remotely responsible for his success. And he hasn't shot a deer in there in multiple years.
Wow.
So like I would like to teach people that stuff, but people are really solo. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to come up and say, "Hey, can you mentor me?" But they'll watch your video. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they'll do that. So I try to help them because a lot of people I approach are just kind of like, I'm good. And I don't know if it's just because they're antisocial or they just want to do it by themselves or whatever. But I do find out later, I hear about them, they know everything about my videos.
Yeah.
And they might not even be subscribed.
That's society in itself today, because the first one-on-one, the handshakes, the looking in the eyes of people, those mannerisms that we learned growing up, those are starting to go to the wayside because of cell phones, because of social media, because the interaction one-on-one is no longer a thing. You don't have to do that.
Right.
So, and people now, I mean, like walking up and shaking somebody's hand and looking them in the eyes, those days of that are, other than our
generation
is over.
and back.
Yeah,
Right.
it's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of squeak into that. I'm like in the middle of that generation switch.
I'm the same way. I'm like right there up by the age, but I got you get that class from our generation that really belongs in the generation before us.
Right.
Just because of our upbringing and influence from that generation, that's how we live. But I count us as the older generation.
Yeah, we're getting old.
Don't remind me, man.
I'm
Getting
like
up was
going
not
on
easy.
close to 50. I'm like, this sucks. Like, I shot like a small doe in Connecticut public land last year, and when I drug her out, I thought I was gonna freaking die. I'm like, I gotta go get a hunting cart. I can't do this no more by myself and dragging it. And it wasn't far. It was only like 150 yards, and I swear to God, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. So I was like, Jesus, I'm getting old.
Yeah,
It's not fun.
There's those signs. So, both at the show and your social media presence, where can everybody find you?
So there's multiple places. So my main platform is the videos, of course, on YouTube. So you go to Manchild Outdoors on YouTube, or you can go to manchildoutdoors.com, and you can go there, and then I have like the whole intro. It tells you about me. It tells you about what I want to do over the years, and where I'm coming from, and it's got a little explanation about what I'm about. But then you also have you have the swag, you have the Manchild T-shirts and stuff that a lot of people are asking for. So I got them printed up for them, and then you have the whole video section. So you can go. There's like a photo section where you can just see some cool photos of just memories, and then the videos where it gets a little bit more serious, and you can click on them, and they're just going to redirect you to the YouTube.
To the YouTube page.
Yeah, they're just all they're on YouTube. So
right, and then
it's just linked.
for everybody in the building, where can they find you here?
Okay, so I'm over by what would that be called up there? The beer?
That,
beer?
We'll
Yeah,
call
the
it
bar.
the tap room.
The tavern?
Yeah, let's call it.
Yeah.
The tavern?
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll go
so
with
the tavern up on the hill. I'm right across from it. So get yourself a beer, come by, check out my stuff, maybe pick up a T-shirt or
I
something.
mean, that's like a prime position, right? Everyone's
that is
going to get
prime
beer. They
position.
got
It was
to come
last
right by
night.
you.
It got cold last night. I sold
yeah.
quite a few hoodies last night. People, they didn't realize it was going to get cold.
Dude, that was-
They
that
probably
was
don't
pretty
even,
good.
I don't even know what Manchild is. What is that? But can I get a hoodie? I'm cold.
Absolutely,
hell yeah.
you can.
It's a good place to be.
100%. All right, well,
Yeah.
Hey, before you close it out, real quick, actually, someone in the audience actually just sent me a link to the NRA.org. Actually has a program where you can go to hunt to feed. So
Oh, that's great.
So there is actually one
Yeah.
out there, and you can look it up, and it's all across the Northeast.
Yeah, that's great to have because when I shot that, when we were talking about the drop tine earlier, when I shot it, I didn't know where to go for nothing.
Yeah.
And I hunt there a lot, but because of the recent rules and you can't go across state lines.
Yeah.
I found myself stumbling because that was the first year. Oh shit, I don't know where I can get this process, where I can get it done, anything, and then that'd
So
be
there's
great.
something,
So
there's something
yeah,
there
that's
that
probably
you
a
can for the
process
hunt to
one.
feed too. So you can give it out. There is a Hunters for Hungry across the
Right.
state. So pretty cool, and we appreciate it.
that's
Thank
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, outstanding. Well, Mick the Manchild, we
Mick the
can't thank
Manchild.
you enough for joining us.
I appreciate
and,
you guys.
And I'm glad we got to be your first podcast.
Yeah.
Had to check
Yeah, I'm
myself
like,
there
yeah,
for a second.
my cherries popped. Thanks, guys.
We do that a lot. We're actually pretty
Yeah.
good at cherry popping. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, I've never done a podcast before, so it was kind of interesting to me to see.
Yeah, well,
How
awesome,
everything
we
goes.
appreciate it. Thank
yeah,
you.
it was good, and
appreciate
hopefully
it.
everyone listening go check him out. Get on his page, subscribe, give him some support. He's got some really cool stuff, and he's got some big things coming, I feel. So
Yeah, things are gonna get better. I got all my camera stuff's different this year. None of
Oh.
it's the same.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, I want to bring the best content, new editing software. So hopefully, I want it to look professional. Even though
You're
it's
doing a hell of
like,
a job already.
yeah, even though it's just kind of like the first year, the footage you're gonna watch now. Next year, I hope to take a big, huge jump.
Awesome.
We'll see.
The only way to
Hopefully.
get better is to start.
I just need
Keep
blessings
chugging,
from up above. I need the deer to still walk by. So
It's
That's
gonna
it.
happen, man.
it's in God's hands from here.
I feel it. Well, again, thanks for joining us,
All right,
guys.
appreciate
Thanks
it,
for
guys.
hanging out with us, and as always, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.